right, hey guys, Sam here with you. It's Thursday the 28th. Now, as you guys saw in the polling results, we've got the S&P in gold today. Now, the S&P is a real challenge here. So I thought we might look at an alternate here. I can't remember where I got this. It may have been a member or a Twitter follower or a member who happens to be active on Twitter with us. But this is an alternate that is worth looking at. Now, I know you can't see this here. Once I get into it, we'll open it up so you can. So in this alternate, the idea would be let me apologize in advance. The allergies are so bad here in Austin. Hoping I can get through this without annoying you with relentless throat clearing. Okay, but so from the low here on our 09 low, in this alternate, we've gone 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, it's a very clean count. And there is the possibility that you could count this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we get a deeper retracement for the 2. Neither of them are perfect. Right? So if it's this one here, which is very clean. If we get one, if this is our 1, well, here's the 38 for the 2. You know, not crazy. If it's here, 38 again. So you don't get any advantage one over the other in helping identify what's what here. So if this 1, 2, interesting, we get the negative 1618 here, and all these targets look like they're pretty close here. So this tings it to the tick. They're not quite here. So I mean, you don't. It's a judgment call. But if you really dig through it, this is very valid that we've gone 1, 2, 1, 2. Now this goes deep, so this would be 1, 2. We go 7, 8, 6 here, 3, 4, 5 to give us the 3 here. Meaning, if the 3's in, how do we deal with this? Well, one thought here is that we've got an expanded flat, so you'd be counting it this way. So we'd have A into a B here for the expanded flat, and then we've come down for the C, and now perhaps this is, as it certainly looks like we have an impulse here, we have 1 going in, 2, 3, 4, and 5 all yet to come to get us up to a 5th that's much higher. So at first glance, I started digging into that, thinking, that may be what we're looking at, because what's making this so difficult to get some confidence in the count is the retracement here. It's just not deep enough. So if I use this as the 3, well, here we've come right to the 50 as we hit this trend line here of this channel. So you look and it's not any better. So if we use the absolute high on the idea that the 5th is in here, which is, I'm going to show you why I still think that that's a reasonable contender here. But if we look at it this way as if it's done here, so what would this imply? So if it was 1, 2 here, then we're going off and we're going much, much higher. If the 5th is in, if the 3rd is here, the 5th is higher, and we've gone A, B, C, well, that certainly would make sense here for the 4, but we can't use this pivot. If we're talking about the 4 here, we've got to go all the way back to the 2 to take a look there. Now, how do we look here? Well, it's not to the tick here, but we're in between the 23 and the 38. That is your prime zone for a 4. So I understand the thinking here. And that's, that may be what we have here. But I'll tell you what I think is the real problem with this count. The ABC here doesn't work. All right, so I looked, right, so again, as I often will suggest that you do, whether you're a member or you're watching on YouTube, strip it bare. Take the 09 low here and just work through the subdivisions. See what you get here. You can definitely we complete something here. The subdivision all plays here. So from this 2, 3, 4, 5, that's all very good. Now let's go dig into this. Let me try a 2 hour here and look at this correction. And I'll show you why I think we have problems with that idea that that we've had an expanded flat here. So in an expanded flat, we've got to have a 3, 3, 5. All right, so can I do it here on a, yeah, I think maybe I have to do 3 hour. Let me get a 3 hour here so we can see all of this. Okay, so if this is our 3, and trust me, I went into this thinking, oh, maybe that's it. If this is our 3, then we've got to trade it this way. So the A comes down, we're in, and then we've gone A, B, and we can get an impulse here. This looks like a double top here, so it could be either of these pivots. So ABC into the B wave. Okay, well, so I can get it's a little sloppy, but I can get the A wave here. Then I can definitely get the ABC to play. So I can get the 3 3, but I can't get the 5. It's just not there, guys. I wanted it to be there. It's just not. So digging into that a little bit. Here's where the problem is. This actually may be I think this is a slight truncation. It doesn't really matter which one of these pivots we use. They're so close together, but I actually think it's over here. So let's use that. So that we come down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now that's hard to argue with that one. Now, so maybe you could call it ABC. It doesn't change. The problem is that we can't get the 5 here. So regardless, I think it's an impulse here. So if we get a 5 down into our A wave, then we can. You just can't make this 2. So this would have to be the 2. So if we're trying to complete the expanded flat, we got to get 5 here. We got to get a motive wave here for that to work. So you'd have to think of it as you'd have to be trying to do it this way. 1. This has to be a 2. You can't go 2, 1, 2. It just doesn't work. So you've got to get the 2 here, partly because of all the subdivision here, which I'll take you through. So I got a clear 5 here. This is a solid 3, and then I get 5 again here. So I don't think you can. Anything other than that is a force fit. So if you were trying to trade this, let me put this on here. So if you were trying to go 1, 2, you can't make it work. It's just not there. You can't get the 3, 4, 5 in there. The symmetry would be so god-awful. So even here, so if we go 1, 2, it's not here, can't be here. So 3, 4, 5, no, it's just not there, guys. That does not work. Right now, you can say, "Oh, fuck the Elliott wave, who cares?" But if you want to put Elliott wave context in here, you cannot get a 3, 3, 5 there. It's just not there. Now I can get 5 coming down here, but I can't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just not there. This 5 solid, this 3 solid, this 5 solid. I can go 5, 3, 5. That is a zigzag, and anything other than that, you are force fitting at a degree that I think would be problematic. I think you're just fooling yourself. I wanted that to work. That would have solved the challenge over here, but it's just not there. So what does that leave us? Well, here's what's making this interesting and challenging. So if this is an ABC into the 4, what do we got here? Well, it certainly looks impulsive. So immediately you got to think, well, what's the alternate that I haven't considered? How else can this be interpreted? What's an alternate here? Because this is very tough to see anything other than an impulse here. It's just I've looked at multiple variations to go through the subdivision. It's just not there. This is an impulse. So what does that leave us? Well, if we back out of this and think about, okay, whether the 5 is in. Okay, so let's assume that. Where'd it go? Where's my 5? Come here, 5. There it is. Okay, let's bring this back over into context. Okay. If the 5 is in here and we have to abandon the idea, and so that would put the 4 over here. Well, whether we do it this way, I had it as A, B, C, and then this was our 5th. So that would give us the 5th up here. All right, so I'm going to take this off because I just don't think it's there. Okay, so I've got an ABC here. What's here? What does that leave? Well, if this is the 5th, right? This doesn't work. So we can't. This can't be our 2. It's just it wouldn't even be in the realm of. Well, shit, man, anything's possible, but that would be incredibly unlikely that we've got a completed impulse and we're going to have a 2 that's shallow. I mean, we'd be talking about. Put that in context here. What are we talking about? So from the 09 low, if I drag it here and we go up to that absolute pivot high, wave 2 at just beyond the 23. So is it possible? Of course, right? Anything's possible, right? But is it probable? Is that likely that we've got our 2 in here and we've just gone 1, 2 and we're off to the races here for another 5 wave cycle? It just seems highly Unlikely. So then if that's unlikely, okay, fine. What's the alternate? Well, there's only so many choices that we have here. So if the 4 is down here, then what are the options here? What could this be if we've got an impulse here? Again, I'm going to propose to you that until proven otherwise, until we take out this pivot high up here, that there's a reasonable case that the 5 is in here. We've done an ABC. So what's a candidate here? Well, one possibility here, we'd have a combination. So because I'm fairly confident we've got a zigzag here, there's a W. So I got to get an X and then get a Y down here. So that is, I think, the most probable alternate. If this is not going to blast off, if we're going to hold, I suppose there's a case that we could get an expanded wave here. But I think that's much less likely. Since I've got a solid ABC here, I've got a solid zigzag, then I'd be looking for an X here. So let me go back to a 2-hour here and look at this. Are we done here? Well, not necessarily. We can't. Is there a count that gets us there? Yeah, but it's not gorgeous. So one possibility here is if we're not going to continue, if we're going to go challenge these highs, one possibility is that we've just done 1, 2 here. So this is a decent 4 here, but we've got 1, 2, and we're going 3, 4, 5, and then that's going to challenge that, and then potentially invalidate both counts here. So you're back to the what is this? Right? This is, I propose to you, is corrective. Therefore, there's only so many things we can label it. Right? So if it's corrected, I think the stronger case, at least at this moment here, is that we've got a W wave, meaning that this impulse here has to be, well, yeah, let me choose my words carefully, is more likely the A wave of the X wave. So we could do something like that. We could get this, this could complete higher. So we can get an A wave. Now, for this to be what ultimately becomes the primary, well, of course, it's going to be entirely contingent on getting a corrective wave here. Now, this does not have to go to new highs. Right? It could be truncated, could be a double top, could go up here. We could double top up here. The X wave here, so ideally you might get something, if we're going to get an expanded flat, 90% of the retrace for the X wave. Well, we're already at the 886. So if I pull down here, well, here's the 886 here. Can you get this to be corrective? Well, you could probably shove it in there, but it's, again, it feels like you're forcing the count to try and accommodate what you think on the larger degree. So I'm much more inclined to keep this as an impulse. The subdivision plays, it's there. I don't know that we're done here. It's too soon to really call this done. Some of this volatility up here is notable here, but we got the Fed is doing what they're doing here, and they're being very market friendly here. So whether the Fed is the put under the market and we're not going to sell off to what you would anticipate, which would be the 5th is in and we're looking for a 50% retracement of the entire move from the 09 low. Well, maybe with the Fed's support here, barring the unforeseen event that causes the market to really come down hard, I think the more probable case here is that rather than 1, 2, this is the A wave of an X wave. Right now, you're speculating here because there's no way to know, right? Until we get, at least I'd need the B wave here of the ABC of the X for that to work. So, right, so question mark, are we done here? Is this going to be an X wave that would lead, so if we get a WXY, right, so and nothing says it's just a WXY, right? Could be more complex than that. But right now, so it's either ABC and we're just putting in the 1 wave and we are going dramatically higher, or we're just putting in the A wave here. I don't see another alternate here because I can't get this to work. Much as I wanted to, as in that would solve the problem, I just don't, it's just not there, right? You can't get that. You can't get 5 there. So here's the alternate. Right. So, well, there's really two here. If this is going to be 1, 2, right? So that's going to make this challenging here. So note, right? If we get 3 waves here, how are you going to know? Right? You won't know. All right. So let's just for the sake of discussion, say we get 3 waves, takes us, well, we could use the 50. So we know there'll be algo participation here. Maybe they come down to the 618. We know. So if this comes down as a 3, how are we going to know whether it's the A, B, C of an X or the 1, 2 of an extension in the 5th? Well, there is no way to know. Right? You won't be able to confirm this until we see what happens at the top here. Do we keep going? If it's 1, 2, well, then this is going much higher, and we'll be looking for the 4, 5. Or if we're going to come here and we're going to stall, and we could double top. All right, let's put that in there. Just for the discussion. We could be A, B, C into an X wave here, and then we're going to need the A, B, C to come down to get closer to some of those more probable locations where we'd be looking for the 2 having completed the 5 wave, well, the major cycle that is potentially here at this 5th, having completed the 5 here. Right? So this is going to be tricky trading here, but now you don't necessarily, I mean, this is very tradable. If we do come down here in 3, I wouldn't hesitate to buy that, right? Because if it's A, B, C or 1, 2, either way, it implies another leg higher here. Just no way to know, right? So you have to just back out and say, well, what's more probable? Not what's possible, what's more probable. Hard to see anything other than an impulse here. And again, I do not know that we're done. This could be going higher here. We could have an extension in the 5th. We could go up and challenge this high here. There's multiple ways that this could play out. But right now, well, looking at it here, if you're a swing trader and you're looking at 2, 3 hour charts here for entry targets, etc., I wouldn't call this a great spot to be a buyer, right? After this extension that we've had here, well, after this impulse here that's had been very shallow on the retracements. Yeah, sure, there could be a little kick up here. We get a better 5th out of this, so 1, 2, right? It certainly could be that the 3 and the 4 is in. I can get a completed, let me zoom in there so you can see it. I can get an impulse here. It's not gorgeous. It's a little skinny on the 2, but I can get the 3. There's the 4, and we get this little ABC into the 4. Let me clean this up a little bit so we can see it better. We're 1, 2. It's tough, right? I'm on a 2 hour, but there's a very tiny little. Shit. Let me go down to. Let's go to a 30 minutes so you can see this better. So 1, 2. 3, A, B, C into the 4. There's the 5. It's a bit of a stretch, right? Is that enough for a 2? 1, 2. Well, you'd have to get your impulse here, so you'd have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into the 3. Even that equally challenging. It's a little skinny to make that work. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you can get the impulse in here. 4, and that's just a straight pump up to get that. But then we've come to the 50 here. So algos are doing what they will always do, right? They defend here at the 50. They'll stay long until they break this 65 here. But note, right, as I always will remind you, there's always an algo on the other side. All right, so here we came a little shy of the golden zone here. Pump down, and then they're not getting targets. Now look where that target is. It's below the 65. So if that breaks, right, bears will take over. Right now, per this pivot right here, it's still bull's ball. You'd still be more inclined that this has been tested here a couple of times here, that perhaps there's one more push up here, but you have to get down to the 15 minutes. It's a little squirrely down here. So what are we doing here? Well, this doesn't look terribly impulsive here, but it's just, so breaking that down, what's there? Let me see if I can open this up. This looks like a pretty solid A wave here. Yeah. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so this, let's zoom in there. Is that a true double bottom, or do we? Yeah, so we have a lower pivot here, so you'd have to put the A wave here, and this being the 4. Well, you could have a truncation. So you'd have to get you'd have to, boy, that's a little ugly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is not gorgeous. So let's see. Is there an alternate here? Is this? Well, you'd have to do it this way. So you'd have to be looking at this as an ABC. ABC into the B wave here, meaning 1, 2. Well, we're going to finish with a diagonal. So, boy, that's pretty steep here. So let's break this down here. So can this be? Are we done down here? Is this? Are we? Well, let's see. So unless we get a, it's not easy, right? So unless we've got a truncated C here and we've gone A, B, C, I don't love that. So let's look at the coming down here. Could this be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? I don't love that either. So do you have anything technical here? So we've broken the 65. That's extreme for the 4. So I don't love that. I think I don't think that works as our 1 here. So this looks more likely. We'd have to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe the truncation is in the 5th here to give us a C. So that then 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll have to see if that's going to work. So. It's not easy in here. You might have to do it this way. So you might have to come this way. Come 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like that's the 5. So if this is the A, then we got to go A, B, C into the B. So you'd have to get it this way. So you'd have a little an expansion in the B. So you'd have to go A, B, C. To get that to play, let's go down a degree. So ABC into the B here. Now this is, boy, that's a bit of a cluster there. Well, so when in doubt, put what the algos do last. So on the short side, if we use it here, we can see they're on the sell side, but they're not to target. I like the 5 here. So A, B, boy, that's a bit of a push here. So I guess you'd have to do it 3, 4, 5. Boy, that is tough. So what do we do with this? So we'd have to go A, B, C, A, B, C. Boy, that's a push to go 1, 2 there. I don't love it. I don't love it. So maybe we've got more. So I don't think this works as 5 coming down here unless you're going to play into a truncation in the 5th here, which I suppose is possible. But what are we doing here? So we'd have to go A, B, C, A, B, C. Fuck, that's not great. So we'd have to do it this way. You'd have to play the truncation here. 1, 2. So you'd have to do it that way. You'd have to put the C here, so that you'd end up with the truncation like this. So you'd have 1, 2, A, B, C into the 3 into the 4, i.e. a diagonal, and come down for the 5, and you get left hanging here. You've got a truncation in the C wave. I don't love it. So so coming off of that, we've got a 1. So this might help here. So if that's going to play as if we're forced to call that a truncated C, which I'm not in love with, I can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'd be looking at a 1 coming off of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where's that going to put us? Can we get a? That's a solid 5. Well, let's see. We might be able to do it this way. So we might have to go. So we might have to go A, B, C like this. So we might have to do it this way. So the B, let's take that off. So we'd have to go A. Let's get that degree higher. I think the A is solid. A, B, C into the B. So let me get that up. That's likely what we'd have to do here. Let's go minuet. Okay, so we'd have to go, this being the A, this being the A, B, C of the B. Let's go, that's fine. Let's keep this, let's put this in blue. So we can keep track of it here. So we'd have to do it this way. So this would have to be A, B, and we're going into the C of the B. So that's going to need to go up. We'll go. So this would be here. So we'd be looking for the B of the C at the next degree. So thus, we'd trade it this way: is A, B, we're going into the C before we head down for the next C. Because this, I can't get 5 here, and I don't want to lean into a truncation here. So 1, 2, shit, it is not clear what we've got here. If that's A, B. Shit, you keep ending up with a truncation here because of there's a 3, so I definitely have got the ABC here. So I've got this bit here, all good. Let's go submicro. We'll go into yellow. 1, 2, 3, 4. Truncate the 5th. Because this looks like it's a motive wave. It's an impulse. So we've got a 5 coming here. So this looks like 1, 2. I don't know how we're going to know. Well, it's going to be a tough call. No easy way to know until we see what happens here. Now, if this kicks from here into this 2 and we get the 3, then I think this will look better. So looking at that, well, algo won't do it that way. Algo will use the lowest low. So that looks like a 1. Would we broke it by a tick. So Elliott hat on, I can still get a 1, 2. That's a break. So what that means is, so here I'm on a 30-minute. So if I zoom in here, they're going to sell the next 50. So from here to here, all right, so they just, so there's golden zone. So that implies that this algo here is going after this. All right, so that will be interesting. Now that we could go, this could be, if this is 1 is done, this could be A, B going in, C comes down here, and we end up putting the 2 a little bit lower here as long as we stay above this pivot here. This proposed truncated 5th here, which I'm not in love with. But right now, so here's the last thing an algorithm did. We can see that, right? We know what they did there, right? So they sold here at golden zone. They've got this as a target. Now they may not get there today. May not get there ever, right? So at some point here, though, one of these algos is going to break. So the fact that you'd be biased here to the short side since this algorithm broke right here, right? So the next thing they do is defend here, so they're going to push for that. So you've lost the buy side here with that break. That's 0250. The 65 was at 03. It's a 2-tick break, but it's enough. So you can see what the algorithm did right here. So it's coming down here for potentially to get to that target. So we'd be going 1, 2. It's not going to, we're not going to get clarity until we get more data here as to where the hell we are. So it's very difficult trading in here, longer term, to be a swing trader here, because this we're lacking clarity through all of this corrective action here. Is very difficult to get clear on it. So pulling out. So what to do? Right? Always the question, right? Well, if you're a swing trader here, right? I know my S&P. I don't even have to wonder. I know they sold that. So. And because we've been doing this long enough, so I know they sold here. Now there'll be some of them saying, "Oh, we don't want to sell in the afternoon." That's very true here, but that's it's not. What time is it here? So we're not a little early for the afternoon ramp. Where are we? And we're above VWAP, so that's tradable here on the short side here. But I'd be very tight on the stop on the other side of the 65 because afternoons we tend to see that rip in the afternoon. But if you're a short-term trader, there's a sell right there. I wouldn't be a buyer just yet, right? So we have this confusion here. What do we have? Right? There's no clear answer here. So where are we here? All right, that 1, 2 is a little dicey here. So if this is the 4, 3, 4, all right, question mark, are we done here? There is no high probability trade here. I'd like it better if we came down here and we got a better C here of this ABC. But until then, let me go back to a 2-hour. There's no high probability trade here. We need to get something better here to work with. We need a pivot that makes sense in the broader context of the larger count. Right now, this question. Okay, so first question, are we done here? There's no way to call that yet. I mean, it's very possible that we're done here, although it's not note here, if we just take the length, and so again, just using typical fib relationships, if we take the 1 through the 2 here looking, well, here's the 2, 6, 1, 8, which is why I lean into this as my third. 4, now are we done for the 5? We could do the same thing. You take the length of the 1 projected from the proposed 4. We didn't quite get to the 100. We blew through the 6, 1, 8. 100 would be a reasonable target. So if there's another kick here to get up to the 5th of that C, if we're not done here and the 5's coming over here, then this whole thing will more likely complete. We'd be anticipating a correction off of that. So the next trade to ponder, whether this is a 1 or an X wave, let's just assume we go up here and we get that. Well, here's the next trade, whether it's an X or a, oops, wrong one, they look alike. All right, so here's the next trade. All right, now, I certainly would not be aggressively buying up here, but it's too soon. Well, you know, see, if you're comfortable on the short side, I think the more probable is that we've got some sort of a correction is coming. So if this is the ABC of the X wave and we're going into the C of the X wave, it's just as buyable here. If it's a 1, 2 and we're going much higher, you still want to be a buyer here. So, you know, if you wanted to be on the short side here because we're top heavy and there's potential, I'd do it with options. I wouldn't just take a straight futures and look to stay on the short side until we get to that target. Even down at that 15-minute, if you were going to try and swing trade that, I'd keep your stop on the other side of the 65. Right here, it's just too soon to make a call here. But it looks much more impulsive than corrective. So it's either 1, 2 or A, B. All right, so hopefully that's helpful. I'd encourage you to go through. It's well worth the task of going through here and see if you can get an alternate here that plays. If you can, man, I want to see it. All right, guys, kind of went long-winded there, but this is very challenging here to get a clean Elliott count on this. All right, so we'll be back to this, I'm sure, in the near term to see how we resolve here. All right, guys, that's it for